Hello, I'm Esther Githu-Yuat. It's Friday, October 29th. This is Africa 54.
The Sudanese army faces widening opposition to the coup as protests intensify. Gabon plumbs the carbon mystery of its mangrove trees. And in our entertainment segment, Togolese musician Masama Dogo talks about his new video and upcoming Washington concert.
The Sudanese general who seized power in a coup this week says the military he heads will appoint a technocrat prime minister to rule alongside it within a week. In an interview with Russia's state-owned Sputnik news agency published Friday, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan says the new premier will form a cabinet that will share leadership of the country with the armed forces. On Monday, Burhan dissolved the transitional government and detained Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok. Many government officials and political leaders in a coup condemned by the United States and the West. The military allowed Hamdok to return home under guard the following day after international pressure. Western countries are now holding up hundreds of millions of dollars in desperately needed aid to Sudan since General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan dissolved a power-sharing government led by Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok on Monday. The power-sharing government was meant to steer Sudan to elections in 2023 after long-serving ruler Omar al-Bashir was toppled 2 years ago. Opponents of this week's coup are calling for mass demonstrations on Saturday. At least 11 protesters have been killed in clashes with security forces this week. Undeterred, Sudanese activists are planning a major march this weekend in opposition to this week's military coup. For more insight in Sudan's political turmoil, Toba Bassi, chairman and co-founder of the Sudan Liberation Movement and a former fellow at the African Union's Department of Political Affairs, joins me live via Skype from here in Washington, D.C. Mr. Bassi, welcome to Africa 54. Now, General al-Burhan is promising the selection of a technocrat prime minister within a week and says the door is also open to the man he ousted, Abdallah Hamdok, to form a government. What do you make of this doublespeak?
Thank you, Esther, for having me and for your viewers around the world. First of all, that is a nonsense. In the first place, the general to forcefully seize the power in the country and also there legally and constitutionally and worldwide to recognize the Prime Minister and his cabinet. It is unlawful, it is condemned locally and internationally. He has no right to seize power and to again claim that he's going to reappoint a civilian government. Who gave him that authority? He has no authority. And his role is not to govern. His role is to secure our borders. His role is to maintain the peace and stability around the country from the outside enemy, not to govern. So saying that he is going to reappoint a civilian government, he has no authority and he has no legitimacy, and that is not his role. The first thing he could do is to reinstate. He apologizes to his people and he subjects himself to the accountability. And then Prime Minister Hamdok, he is the one to restate his cabinet.
Mm-hmm. No, Bassi, what impact, if any, will the Million March slated for tomorrow have on the coup leaders?
The coup leaders, they have been isolated, and this coup is a blessing in a disguise, because the Sudanese people have said for us that there is no room for military rule anymore. The civilian are the one to lead the country towards a full democratization. And this 1 million march men and women tomorrow is going to demonstrate once again the legitimacy for the civilian rule, is going to compel the military junta to step back and try to reconsider what they did is unlawful and is rejected locally and internationally.
Now, we also know that General Burhan fired Sudan's diplomats in the United States, China, and the EU. What impact is this likely to have in terms of relationship with Sudan and the outside, world?
Well, you know that Sudan has come a long way from 30 years of isolation, and the military junta claiming that to dismiss the ambassadors of the people of Sudan. First of all, he has no right. He has no constitutional right. He has no legitimacy because he is not the one who appointed them. So that is it doesn't hold any water. And our great ambassadors around the world, they resisted that and they do not recognize dismissal by the reckless general, and they should continue their role as ambassadors for the people, not for the junta. And Mr. Burhan, they will not impose the will on the Sudanese people.
And very briefly, how has this impacted the of essential goods and services in the country?
You know, the 30 years of wars in the country and the isolation, and this has created a catastrophic situation. Recently, a report says that 9 million Sudanese men and women are facing a severe shortage of supplies, food and medicine. So, with this coup again, the generals, they want to take Sudan back to the dark ages of the 30 years of the Islamic rulers.
Right.
So this is, and I don't think that it's going to continue. Many people would say once again that is enough is enough, and the military juntas, they have to go back to their barracks.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Bassi. Toba Bassi is chairman and co-founder of the Sudan Liberation Movement and a former fellow at the African Union's Department of Political Affairs. An Ethiopian government jet bombed the capital of the northern Tigray region on Thursday. One doctor says 10 people were killed. Video obtained by Reuters shows collapsed brick structures with corrugated iron roofs. Blankets and furniture lay among the wreckage, with charred, collapsed beams and a damaged car. The government says its strike on Thursday hit and destroyed an engineering complex where it says the Tigray People's Liberation Front stored military equipment. But TPLF spokesperson Getachew Reda says the strike hit the Kebele residential neighborhood, killing 3 people, wounding several others and destroying 3 houses. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development says foreign direct investment in Africa has declined by 16% in 2020 to $40 billion compared to $47 billion in 2019 due to COVID-19. However, sub-Saharan Africa's economy is set to expand by 3.7% in 2021 and 3.8% in 2022, according to the International Monetary Fund. The African market continued to grab investors' attention as the continent's economies grow, including the health sector, present businesses opportunities to innovate and prosper. For more insight, Africa 54 correspondent Lino Mudu spoke with Linda Habgood, co-chair of Delphos International, an independent financial advisory firm based here in Washington.
We are a 34-year-old firm with the traditional headquarters in Washington, D.C., and our focus has always been on bringing specialized financial solutions to our clients who are building businesses or exploring infrastructure, construction opportunities in emerging markets.
Let's narrow down to Africa. You say you work in emerging markets, and Africa is one such market. Talk to us about the scope of the work on the continent.
One of the things that we see as opportunities is that for Africa, they've been able to leapfrog often into solutions that the rest of the world was only able to consider after big investments in brick and mortar and systems that couldn't take advantage of technology. We worked on 63 different transactions, and we've raised $4.7 billion on behalf of our clients who are looking to build businesses there, grow businesses there, or tap into new financial instruments to help them explore ways that they can deliver services into these markets. There are just an enormous number of interesting things happening, and we feel like we really have a lot to add to our clients' endeavors by bringing this capital to them.
Healthcare is one of the sectors of interest for investors, and I believe in your portfolio. Talk to us about that, especially now with COVID-19.
There are a lot of silver linings of COVID-19. Clearly, a lot of challenges that it has caused all of us to face, and it's shined a light on some of the weaknesses in the provision of healthcare around the world, but in Africa in particular. Africa bears 25% of the disease burden in the world, but only 2% of the doctors. What's happening right now is exciting because the development banks committed a lot of additional dollars to the emerging markets to help in their resiliency against COVID-19. So there's an increasing amount of money in all different shapes and sizes available for earlier stage companies to support telemedicine platforms, to try to get at last mile healthcare and the collection of data that can help doctors and hospital systems deliver better drugs and better remedies to people across the continent.
When you look at the needs that emerged with COVID-19, what would you say are some bankable projects as of now, projects of interest?
I'll share a couple of things that we're working on. I think that are good examples of deals that are happening on the continent of Africa that are financeable by the development banks. One, we have a multi-country pharmaceutical distribution platform client who is looking to expand its geographic footprint and is in need of capital in order to do that. They've also come to us to help set up a leasing platform for them so that the customers that they have who often can't afford expensive medical equipment have an ability to pay for it over time. Another one is a private equity platform who has a portfolio company that's looking to roll up its investments in a number of different pharmaceutical companies, across the continent. We're looking at telemedicine platforms, so tech platforms that also the development banks, very interestingly, are quite keen to take a look at these days. They've moved very quickly from those infrastructure types of mindsets to thinking about how they can provide earlier stage debt and equity to support these businesses that can really deliver healthcare solutions a lot more effectively than building a hospital or building that physical brick and mortar.
And before we wrap, do you have anything to add?
I think the thing that I like to tell people about the world of development bank monies and export credit agency monies is that there's a huge universe that cannot be ignored. Often people are a little bit concerned about how long it might take to tap into those monies. And it's confusing because often those institutions talk a language or speak a language that seems very different from the financial language that is spoken in London or in Hong Kong or in New York. We pride ourselves on being the translators between the way that the agencies speak and the way that business people speak. And so I would really encourage people to not ignore that huge pool of capital that can really help them advance their business. And I really believe that we can help a lot of people access that money very quickly.
Linda Hapgood, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Lenore, thank you very much.
That was Africa 54 correspondent Lenore Mudu speaking to Linda Hapgood, co-chair of Delphos International, an independent financial advisory firm based here in Washington. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, is in Africa this week. Ambassador Greenfield visited Gabon on Thursday, where she said the United States is donating over 100,000 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to Gabon. The donation, she says, is the product of a great deal of collaboration between the United States government, COVAX, and the African Union. Greenfield also said the vaccines are donated with a singular objective: to save lives and stop the COVID-19 pandemic. In South Africa's industrial heartland, raw sewage through the streets of some townships and into homes, potholed or dirt roads, blocked drains, water shortages and power cuts are the daily realities for poor South Africans in African Nation Congress strongholds that could cost the party votes in Monday's municipal elections. The ex-liberation movement wants to win back metropolitan areas, including Johannesburg and the capital Pretoria, that was lost to opposition coalitions in 2016, its worst election outcome since taking power under Nelson Mandela in 1994. Some residents have formed a movement to field candidates in Monday's election, capitalizing on ANC's dissatisfaction and 27 years of promises for a better life. But ANC leader and President Cyril Ramaphosa is popular, and older black voters retain a strong emotional attachment to the party that freed them from centuries of colonial and apartheid oppression. We'd like to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, Togolese music is alive and hot. We'll have a feature on singer-songwriter Masama Dogo. Stay with us. Welcome back to Africa 54. Before departing for Europe, U.S. President Joe Biden unveiled a $1.7 trillion spending plan, about half the amount he had proposed weeks ago, saying he would provide the most transformative aid to American families in decades, and at the same time set the United States on a path toward sharply cutting its greenhouse gas pollution. President Biden laid out the plan Thursday with Democratic lawmakers in Congress and then lobbied for it in a 23-minute White House address.
No one got everything they wanted, including me. But that's what compromise is. That's consensus. And that's what I ran on. I've long said compromise and consensus are the only way to get big things done in a democracy. Important things done for the country.
Mr. Biden told Democratic lawmakers that the reduced plan was the product of intense negotiations with a broad swath of politically progressive and moderate Democrats in Congress. Biden specifically cited his back-and-forth talks with two centrist lawmakers who had objected to the $3.5 trillion price tag and several provisions of his original proposal, Senators Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. Biden is confident this is a framework that can pass both houses of Congress, and he looks forward to signing it into law, according to the White House. It was not immediately clear whether the warring factions of Democrats in Congress were on board with the White House claim that the curtailed plan could pass along with a separate $1.2 trillion infrastructure proposal to rebuild the country's deteriorating roads and bridges and expand broadband service throughout the United States. As the world struggles to curb climate change, Gabon is seeking to protect its mangroves, one of the world's few absorbers of carbon. Louisa Nax has more.
Gabon is fighting to protect its mangroves. The Central African country is home to the world's tallest mangroves, some of them reaching over 210 feet high. The towering trees have made Gabon one of the world's few net absorbers of carbon, as the plants sequester the greenhouse gas 4 times faster than forests on land. Vincent Majibe works for Gabon's National Parks Agency. As the world struggles to curb climate change, he has been tasked with collecting data to try and work out exactly how much carbon is locked in the mangroves. He says protecting the trees is vital.
The mangrove ecosystem, we have really to be careful about them, not to destroy them, because if you destroy mangrove ecosystem, then we will emit a lot of carbon from the atmosphere.
As well as storing carbon, the swamps are rich in wildlife and serve as natural flood defences. However, many are under threat from urbanisation, with former swamps being illegally cleared for construction. Andrea Minkwa is the manager of the Arboretum Raponda Walker, which is located just outside the Gabonese capital, Libreville. She oversees a team of rangers who monitor the reserve's mangroves and discourage people from destroying the plants to build houses or tourism businesses.
Nous espérons qu'avec le temps, les gens vont de plus en plus comprendre.
We're hoping that with time, people will understand the importance of mangroves more and more. Because I always say in my talks, if we destroy all those mangroves, if we destroy all this forest, water will replace it.
Mais c'est l'eau qui va remplacer. Donc, ce qui veut dire que même
if we want to build, we will build on water. We are going to end up in water.
Si on veut faire de l'agriculture,
if we want to do agriculture, everything will be drowned.
De maintenir
so it would be more important to maintain the mangroves.
De la détruire. Et si on détruit la mangrove,
if we destroy it, now what will we eat? Because that's where fish reproduce. What will we eat?
On va se nourrir de quoi?
But awareness is growing. In the last 20 years, mangroves have recovered from being one of the world's fastest shrinking habitats to one of the best protected, with over 40% in a conservation area, a July report by the Global Mangrove Alliance found.
Louisa Nax of Reuters filed that report. Togolese music is alive and well, both in Togo and here in Washington, D.C. Music Time in Africa's Heather Maxwell talks with singer-songwriter Masama Dogo about his latest video and upcoming concert here in Washington.
Oh, we made no man no now.
Masama Dogo, nice to have you right here in my home studio.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Let's talk about your new music video, Soke Wo. You recorded it in Togo. It is beautiful. What does Soke Wo mean?
Soke Wo is about forgiveness. The song is talking about how we need to forgive people who hurt us, because that's the only way to be happy. That's the only route to happiness.
When did you write the song?
I wrote a song a while ago. This song was recorded and released 3 years ago, but then in July I went to Togo. The plan was to do a live music, and when we're done, a friend of mine listened to the audio and told me, "Oh, my friend, you have to do a music video out of this sound." And I'm like, "Are you serious? I have already a music video out of it. And I even won a Whammy with that song.
Yes.
And
that was the last time you came on the show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, let's try. And then that's how we made this music video.
Okay.
The second music video.
I really like the music video for the natural beauty. It seems that you did it effortlessly. Was that the plan?
Yes, the plan is to try to make sure people don't fake stuff, don't fake their smile or dances on the video, is to have something really natural.
You like the real thing.
Exactly,
yeah.
The real thing. So
yeah.
what we did is we really hire professional dancers, traditional dancers, the ladies in the video. But all the boys in the video are my cousins, brothers, and musicians.
Oh, wow. Were you in Lome, or where exactly in Togo?
It was in Lome. This is the place is called Agoe, and that is my family house too. We didn't go anywhere. We just had a party, and you know, the only thing is you have to listen to one song for 3-4 hours. That's okay, but we have drinks and we have food. People are having fun.
Yeah.
The music is just one music.
Let me ask you, how long have you been doing music, Dogo?
For a long time. I mean, I decided to make it professionally about 15 years ago. And when I started with my first band called Elike, and we played around here a lot, around the DC area. And now I just decided to do something more different, more traditional. So 4 years ago, I started the Dogo du Togo project. But then, you know, I would say now that's 2 years ago because COVID took 2 years out of it.
Yeah, because you are normally based right here in the Washington, D.C. area, right?
Yes,
This is where you are. Do you have any upcoming gigs now that the COVID restrictions are lifting?
Yes, I'm playing on October 31st at a place called Bossa Bistro in D.C.
Oh, I know that place.
18th Street.
Yeah.
Yeah, a Halloween party.
All right. So if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, come to Masama's show on October 31st. That's our Halloween. But if not, hope you're enjoying it. And thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Heather and Masama Dogo. That's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.